Hello. Let me double check. Everything should be. Oh, I see. I made a mistake. Everything's up, but I wrote the wrong text on here. Let me fix that. Because we are making the Snallygaster today. Or at least my take on it. There we go. That looks a little better there. Alright, so this is another part of our series on mythological creatures. We're doing another American cryptid known as the Snallygaster. I think everything is good. It looks like it is. I've been playing with my microphone once again. I am still trying to make the audio better. I'm learning as I go, but hopefully it's a lot better this time. I finally got a little flexible arm so I can pull it much closer to myself, which will hopefully help quite a bit with the audio, even though it's something very simple. But go ahead and look at what we got today. I already made the wireframe and the basic aluminum foil frame for the Snallygaster. And kind of see where we're going with this. I've already selected, I don't know which of the eyes I'm going to use, but I'm going to use one of these. So, and as you can tell, I have prepped a bunch of clay. But yeah, so this is where we're going to start from. I did do some research as usual on the history. Which is, it's definitely interesting. So the Snallygaster came from Maryland, Frederick County, Maryland, and it's believed to have come from early German immigrants, with the original word being, I'm going to butcher the German pronunciation, but it's Schnellergeist, I believe, which means the quick spirit or ghost. And the word Snallygaster came from basically a bastardization of that term. It's pretty typical in the English language for a lot of things, not even English language, just language in general, for terms to get mispronounced over time, and the meanings often stay the same, sometimes they change, but mispronunciation slowly and the spellings change. But the word Snallygaster came from that originally, and this was back in the 1700s. It was your classic, mythological creature. It sneaks up on you, it steals livestock, that kind of thing. There's quite a few different mythological creatures around the world. Their main thing is that they steal livestock or snatch children. I'm assuming that's because, maybe wolves, coyotes, wherever you live, cougars, things like that could potentially do those things, and then people, I guess, out of fear or for other reasons, sensationalize the story. I'm assuming that's why, but that's pretty common for a lot of mythological stories, is that they always start with a creature that like snatches livestock or stalks in the night, because at nighttime it's scary and you can't see things as well, and your imagination tends to fill in what you can't see. But there were a couple key character traits of the Snallygaster. It was supposed to be like a reptile-bird combination. It actually reminded me, some of the earlier drawings reminded me, some of them look like dragons, and some of them reminded me a little bit of the old-fashioned, like, cockatrice, the chicken lizard thing that came out of, Egypt and other parts where we got the basilisk and all those words from that we did earlier. It reminded me a little bit of that. But the difference is that tentacles were often part of the description. And if you look at like most portrayals now, they'll have like tentacles coming out of its beak or around its face. I couldn't really find too much detail on how many legs it has. Most drawings give it 4. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I'm going to kind of see what looks right to me, which is why I didn't do the arm parts yet. But it usually has that. It also would have like a metallic beak, specifically with teeth. So we are going to try to do that. Excuse me. But that's the main thing. It was some sort of reptilian bird with wings that would swoop down and snatch away livestock, children, and would hunt things down. Um, and what's interesting is that if you look in that particular area of, it's actually in a lot of Pennsylvania, Maryland, and other areas, there are a lot of barns, and those barns will have stars on them. And the stars were kind of a superstitious sort of thing that was thought to ward off evil, so it became very common for these really beautiful stars to be painted on barns. That's a very common thing if you look at country decor nowadays for like barns and, rustic, styles that people do. They almost always have these country barn stars. So the articles I read specifically mentioned a seven-pointed star, but when I looked it up, it didn't seem like it was unique to seven-pointed. When I looked up the stars themselves, they can be 8, 12-point stars, 5-point stars like the classic country barns, but there's some really fancy ones that are very common in the Pennsylvania Dutch region. And if you aren't familiar with what the Pennsylvania Dutch is, it's another term that's been messed up. It's actually the Pennsylvania Deutsch. It was German immigrants and misunderstandings, mispronunciations over the word made everyone call it Pennsylvania Dutch. But there's a lot of cultural food things and other things that go along with that region and people from that area. Well, one of them is the barn stars, and apparently that was a common thing for places where the Snallygaster supposedly lived, or the Snellergeist. They would put stars on the barns to ward off evil spirits, with the Snallygaster being one of the most common. It's not unique to this particular creature, but it was one of the ones that they considered that. It also apparently the stars were supposed to be lucky. But like most superstitions, it's become more of an art thing now. So I was looking up some of the designs. They're quite intricate and very pretty, and there's a lot of history behind that. If you want to read it, it's very interesting. But anyway, the legends existed from that time period. There is a note I've seen, I know Wiki had it, and I've seen a couple articles, but they were locked behind a paywall, so I couldn't read them. That mentioned during the 1900s, which would be, or sorry, 19th century, which would be the 1800s, that they think legends of creatures like Snallygasters were used specifically after the Civil War as sort of a hazing thing, or against the freed slaves at the time. I would not be surprised. That is pretty common for a lot of creatures, where mythological figure and all of that is often used for stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised, but I couldn't really confirm too much of that. I didn't have the time to look it up, and the articles I kept finding were all on websites that make you pay to read the articles, so I couldn't read them. Most of everything else I saw had it as a vague footnote, so may or may not be a thing. I really wouldn't be shocked if it was used that way. Just think of ways that people use, all sorts of creepy monsters to try to make children behave, or to haze certain people and to go, oh, this monster exists, but it doesn't really, or, really not very nice, but a very common thing that people do. So I wouldn't be surprised. That's something I wanted to research more later, but I didn't have the time and I couldn't really find too much on short notice. But the real popularity of the Snallygaster actually came much later. Let me see if I can get this on here first. It came a lot later with a particular newspaper in 1909. They started claiming all sorts of sightings of this particular creature that would, again, snatch children and livestock. That's the most common thing. Sometimes people, but it would drop down from the sky, attack stuff. Supposedly it screeched like the sound of a train whistle. And there was all these accounts of local sightings. Again, this is from the counties in Maryland. The original one, I know, was Frederick County, Maryland. It spread out to parts of West Virginia, I think, Pennsylvania, and some other areas. But it started in Frederick County, Maryland. The particular newspaper mentioned in the article was the Middletown Valley Register, and they kept reporting these sightings of this horrible creature. It gained enough attention that apparently even the president at the time, which was Teddy Roosevelt, was looking at it. At least some people claim that he was, thinking about hunting it. I don't know how accurate that is. I didn't get time to research it thoroughly, but he and the Smithsonian Institute are both reported to have taken interest in this supposed creature that had appeared in Maryland. After a time, though, unsurprisingly, it got reported as a hoax because there were two editors of that local paper. Their names were George Roderick and Ralph Wolf, and they were basically cooking up a scheme to get readership, to get more people to buy their papers, so they decided on a publicity stunt. And they pulled from the old legends of the Snallygaster, and I think they also were inspired by the Jersey Devil and some other creatures, and they basically combined a bunch of folklore and came up with all these horrible sightings of the Snallygaster that was attacking people in Maryland. And it was, yeah, it was all completely a hoax, very much meant to be a hoax. It wasn't even, a lot of the cryptids are sightings that people have seen in the dark. They didn't know what they saw, they were scared, that kind of thing. This one was very much intentional and very much a lie. But it became very popular, and I think there's even a museum now. But unsurprisingly, yeah, it was a publicity stunt. And there's another one. I think there's one in West Virginia called the Bat Boy or something that was also very much a publicity stunt. Because, crazy stories sell, get people interested, and that's all they were aiming for. But I think from what I read, it looks like some of the description, like the one-eyed part of the description, may have come from the newspapers more so than the original legends. I'm not positive. The stuff that I was reading usually mentioned the one-eye stuff description with the newspaper sightings and not so much the earlier one. So I don't know if that was around that time. It supposedly got a more defined description of having only one eye. But, or they could have pulled it from the older legends. But when I read the older legends, it was just razor sharp beak, sometimes tentacles, scary, it flew, part lizard, part bird. So now if you look up Snallygaster, you will see a bunch of depictions. There's a classic look, I guess, much like Mothman and some others. There's a classic look that you'll see that's kind of been adopted now. But there's variation. There's quite a bit of variation. So what I am planning on doing is trying to make a Snallygaster hatchling, partially because I am lazy and I didn't really feel like doing full-on wings again. I did that with Mothman and some of the other ones. I don't feel like doing full-blown feathered wings. So I thought it'd be cute if I did little chick wings and make him like a little Snallygaster chick or hatchling. So that's kind of where I'm going with this today. But, let's see, that's fine. But yeah, we'll see how it turns out. Some of the depictions, it'll have little front arms. Sometimes it doesn't. So I'm undecided. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I want to give him little hands. I was thinking about giving him a little collar like a pet and putting a little 7-point star on it. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not, but we'll see. Let me move something here that's making too much noise. There we go. That way it stops making noise. Oops. As always, I am tired. But yes, hopefully the audio is much better because I was able to move the microphone much closer to me. And I know it looks like it's probably better at this point. I still need to go through the settings. The auto settings seem kind of bad. Like they don't sound as good. So I need to fix more of that again. But yeah, I'm getting there. It's getting better. Alright, we've almost finished our basic lower half of the body. We're gonna give him little chicken legs. And I'm probably gonna do a mix of like fur-ish feather fluff and like scales since it's the lizard bird thing going on. Kind of like I did when I sculpted the cockatrice. because I think it's really kind of along those lines. The difference being that it can definitely fly, is a little bit more dragon-like. But yeah, most of the drawings are pretty comical looking, to be honest. I've seen several where the wings are like tiny little baby wings, even on a full-grown creature. Some of them are terrifying and look more like dragons. Several make it look really funny. So we're doing kind of in between those. I have an idea of what I want right now, but I try not to come up with too specific of an idea in my mind because it never looks quite how I imagine. All right. Let's turn his head a little bit. All right. We're almost got the base covered here. All right. And once again, I actually learned my lesson and I made a frame. But I think this little guy would have collapsed if I hadn't. I'm learning. I'm actually making frames for the figurines now. When I have to. I don't know why I hate doing it so much, but it definitely makes life easier if you have a wireframe. Let's attach this part of the head. All right. Yeah, and I want to use the larger eye. I think that's the appropriate size. Yeah, I may regret doing 5 tentacles. I'm not sure if that was the proper number. But it was just because when I was making the frame here, one of them is from the central wire piece, and then the other two are from, or the other 4 rather, are from 2 ends of a wire that I twisted onto the head, which is why it ended up being 5. Every picture I've looked at is very different in regards to the tentacles. Some have a ton, and it's very Cthulhu-esque. Others have less. I'm curious, how many mythological type creatures have tentacles just randomly attached to them in weird places. Because I don't know, I always associated that with like Lovecraftian. This obviously predates Lovecraft, but I'm just curious. I need to look it up to see if there's more because unless it's an aquatic creature, I don't think there's too many other mythological creatures I can think of off the top of my head that just have random tentacles attached to them. Because the Snallygaster seems very, very odd. Like, it's not aquatic, it doesn't swim, there's nothing like that. It just has tentacles randomly sticking out of its beak. kind of unusual. Usually the anatomy of the monsters kind of makes sense, sort of. I mean, I have a lot of questions about how the bone structure and everything would actually work in the real world, but it kind of makes sense, like, oh, it's got wings because it flies, or it's not, it just has tentacles because they're scary. I don't know, that could be why, but it's just very interesting to me. Let me, his head's getting to be the wrong shape here. Alright. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. But yeah, the beak's gonna have to attach right over where the tentacles are. Alright, so now we gotta figure out where we're putting the eyeball. Because the beak is going right here, so the eyeball needs to be up higher. Probably right about there. So let me round out a fairly large spot for it here. I also noticed that the bird-like features are often very vulture-like, which kind of makes sense. Although vultures are more birds of carrion birds, I guess, rather than ones that actively attack things. But they're kind of creepy. I have a tree outside my house that vultures like to flock to, and they just hang out. I've had upwards of 30, I think. They're nasty birds. Very nasty. And one time I had to chase after them with an umbrella because they were bothering my cat. They weren't going to kill him, they were stealing his food, but yeah, I've woken up and had them on my roof before looking in my windows. They're kind of creepy. So I can see where that kind of appearance and look would fit very well for a monster. Alright, so let's do a quick eyelid here. There we go. The bottom eyelid. The top eyelid now. The head shape, there we go. I was going to say, the head shape's not quite cooperating with me. One-eyed creatures are hard to do because it changes the whole way that the face works. And it makes it, I don't know, it makes it awkward. Okay. Let's put that on top here. There we go. Now, we gotta figure out how we're going to shape the beak here. Okay, because beaks usually, let's set them down here. They're almost like a diamond shape. Like that. And then I also need to hollow this out a tad because we're going to be adding some fangs in here. I might do fangs instead of full-blown teeth. We'll see here what looks best. So this is the top part of the beak. A little bit too high. Let's make it wider. I think it needs to be wider. There we go. There we go. All right. Okay, I feel like, yeah, we're probably gonna build up the face a little bit, the cheeks. All right, let's curve the beak downward a bit. It's a predator, so it should look sharpish, kind of. All right. Honestly, this feels as wacky as some of like the random roll test ones that I've done, which we will be doing not next week because I will be finishing this guy next week, but the week after we'll probably be doing some random dice roll creatures. Which for those, they're exactly what they sound like. I roll dice, do a quick sketch of whatever comes out, and then try to turn it into a semi-coherent looking mythological creature. But yeah, this one looks like it's a part of that. It really feels like it. So I think it's because the random tentacles that just don't seem to fit for any particular reason. They're just there. Alright. Lower part of his beak. Like so. Alright, let me see what we can do in the way of teeth. Here we go. Attach that tooth a little better. Alright, I think we'll give him probably maybe 1 to 2 more on each side. Just a little bit. Okay, now let's see. The nose should be here. And point down. Like so. Mouth slightly open. But you can see little teeth. I'm gonna add probably 2 more. I think I'll do 2 more. And I am trying to make them pointy, so they look like carnivorous teeth. I know the last time I made like a really cool dragon puppet, I did them more like molars, so they looked more like herbivorous teeth. And I didn't even think about it till someone pointed it out to me, and I was like, oh well, I didn't think about that. But I guess it's fine. Yeah, so we definitely want these to look like predator teeth. Although beaks are meant to be what the teeth would be doing, so that doesn't really make sense. But hey, it's not really meant to. It's not real. Okay, so I think we got our beak done with some teeth. Okay, so I want to add some cheeks, kind of, because his face looks kind of sunken in. So I want to add a little more substance to his face here. Um, we got a little bit of a cheek there. Now we're going to add one to the other side, so his head looks a little better. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna be cute exactly, but we're gonna get as close to cute, ugly adjacent that we can. But we got his part of his head done here. Okay. Let's see, we can go ahead and wrap some of these tentacles. We'll start with this one. All right. All right, we got the... This is just the base. We're going to smooth these out and make them neater, so... Okay. Oops. Okay. Let's do 2 more. You can kind of see where we're going with it. He's getting his tentacles. One more tentacle. Okay. There we go. Okay, let's work that up a little higher so that it matches. Okay, now we gotta blend and smooth these out so that they look like they're supposed to be here and they're attached. There we go. Smooth this one out a little bit. So there's no noticeable lines on these. There we go. All right. There we go. He's got a bunch of little tentacles sticking out of his face now. I'm getting very sleepy. Okay. Okay, we gotta do his legs here real quick. And then we're gonna start adding details while I decide how we're doing the wings. Alright. I am so tired. Okay. And we're gonna do it just like, kind of just like chicken feet. Or bird toes in general. Okay. So that means I want to have a distinctive connection point where we go from like the fluffy chick feathers to the actual like texture of the leg. I think we'll make it right about here. There we go. Attach that like so. Perfect. Now we gotta do the other one. Eh. There we go. We got the base of the feet done. And kind of see where we're going with the Snallygaster here. Go ahead and add his little side toes here. Okay, let's add the others. Okay. Add that toe, and then a little bit more here, and then we'll blend these in as well. There we go. So now he's got two little feet. Tentacly head. All right. So I think what I'm gonna do some scaly kind of patches down the back of the head, kind of like I've done on some other creatures. Just misshapen, various sized scales. Okay. Okay. And this is kind of going to be my take on the lizard half of the Snallygaster. Come back here. The one thing I did notice that was very absent was descriptions of the color of the Snallygaster, so I guess I have free reign to do whatever I want on that, which I'm cool with, but I'll have to look again before I do next week's video to see if there's any notes that I can find more specifically on the color, maybe more info I can add about it. But yeah, I don't recall seeing any other than that the beak was very metallic or something along those lines. So like I can use one of my metallic color paints, but that's about all I have to go on. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I have free artistic license on the color. Okay. There we go. Almost done with this. There we go. So now he's got some scales down his back. Oh. Oh. Trying to think of what I should work on next. Let's see if we can do the little baby wings. Stick him back a little bit. And let's do this side. Alright, so we're going to line this a bit, see if we can get a bit of a... Okay, attach his baby wing here. Let's attach the other baby wing here. Yeah, right about there. Go. So now he's got little baby wings. Okay. My cat's outside the door crying for me. He doesn't like it when I lock him out of rooms. All right. Question is, do we give him little teeny arms? I don't know. Should I? Should I give him arms? All right, so now takes the long, boring part of tentacle details, which are easy enough, but it's just time consuming. Okay. Because we take a dot off this, we flip them upside down. Guess I'll start with this one. Right there. There. And put all these little circle pieces under it. And then we'll go back through and put little indentations so they look like the little tentacle suckers. Come back here. There we go. So now we got the details on that tentacle. Roll this out a bit more. Now we get to do all the other 4. Yay! This is going to take a bit. Yeah, I wish there was a faster way to do this, but there isn't really. Oh, yeah. 2 tentacles down. We're getting there. We're getting there. This is very slow work. All right. At least the central one I made easier to work with. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the microphone. I moved it over so it's much closer to me, but unfortunately, it's right where I can hit it very easily. You know, I love doing the details on tentacles, but I also hate it because it's so time consuming. It's very rewarding when you're done, and it's very simple to do, but it's just time consuming. It's like doing feathers. I hate doing feathers. Right, after this one, we've only got 2 more. So then we're pretty much done with that, and then I gotta decide. Well, I gotta do the details on the feet and the body, but like I gotta decide, am I doing cute little teeny tiny arms, like T-Rex arms on him? Maybe I should make him hold a little disc that I'll paint one of those traditional stars on. I mean, it's supposed to ward him off, but it would be kind of cute. Although I guess that's like the equivalent of making a vampire hold garlic. Like, that's kind of counterintuitive. There we go. We have some tentacles looking good. All right. Woo. 2 more to go. All right. Time to stretch a little bit. Okay, no, we're gonna keep that down because I don't want to redo that. Okay. Oops. Where did... Oh, there it is. Way too many tentacles. But we gotta do it right. Almost there. We just got this little one and then the one over here on the left. No, come back here. But yeah, tentacle designs are pretty easy to do. They just very time consuming because all I'm doing is just using tiny little balls of clay and then poking a hole in the center. It's just a pain to do this many. I've done like full-blown miniature octopus before and some others. Sometimes on super miniature ones I will cheat and just do little indentations. Doesn't quite have the same effect. It's not as cool. So I was like, nah, I'm gonna do this one right. Plus, it's larger so you'd see better. When it's small, you can kind of get away with just doing little dots for all the tentacle pieces, which is what I'm doing on the ends of these, but it's this size, you typically cannot. It will look noticeably incorrect. Okay. There we go. One more. Stretch a bit. Hopefully I'm not smashing. Good, I'm not smashing too much of the back here. All right, one more. Yeah, and I think this one will start to the side here. Actually, what if I just do a whole bunch of little beads of clay here to begin with, and then I just poke my little tool into them. This might be faster. I'm not sure if it's faster, but we're going to try it. Just see if it is faster, because it might be. Alright, that's a decent amount to start with. Yeah, I'm thinking this is the way I should have been doing this all along. Because this is easier. No, get in there. Alright, note to self, make the beads of clay, then stab them with my tool later. Saves so much time. I should have been doing that from the beginning. Alright, let's do some more here. Wrong end. Yeah, I might do some Lovecraftian stuff too, but I don't know yet. I want to do some Cthulhu type dice. I've done tentacle dice before, but I really think I want to do like a miniature version of Cthulhu, but he's difficult to do at the scale I would have to do for a dice set. So I might do, come on. Okay, so that is a problem. Sometimes they don't want to stick when I do it this way. That's okay. Alright. Just a few more. Let's balance this against my hand. No. Stay on there. So they don't adhere as well when I do this, but it definitely goes faster. There we go. So now we have all of his little tentacle face things. We got that done. Now the question is, do we give him arms? And I think we're definitely going to do some feathery fur texture here. And then I need to do the lines for the feet here as well to make it look very bird-like. But let me see here. I think I'm going to do the classic thing I do with a lot of these where I do like a puffed out V-shape, almost scarf on the neck, and then do it very like fur feathery patterned like this. Because that tends to add some good detail for something that's not going to have a whole lot of detail otherwise. Alright. Let me... So we're going to go ahead and texture this as like a tuft of fur. And then I think I need to add a little more around the neck specifically, because I think we're doing the vulture type look. Or maybe just do little tiny scraggly bits around the neck so it looks a bit like a vulture kind of look. I don't think I've ever seen a picture of a baby vulture. I should look up one of those to see what they look like. Oh, yeah, they're kind of ugly. I mean, I was expecting them to be, but... All right. So we're gonna do this mix of like a fur pattern. Yeah, I'm not sure about the arms yet, because a lot of them, they really do tend to give him front arms. I feel like I should, just because most of them do. Now let me think about it here. And I'm thinking if I do it, I want to make them tiny little like T-Rex kind of arms. Just little teeny ones with like 2 fingers. I'm trying to see what this is gonna look like here before I make up my mind. I know the sketch that I did had 4 arms. Yeah, so like we could do little arms on the front. It would definitely add more detail. Like it would definitely help there. Maybe I should. I think I should. And then I'll give him a little medallion or something to hold on to, and I'll do the painted star on it. Alright, let me divide this in half. We're just going to do basic little teeny tiny T-Rex fingers, like so. Like this. And then do the same thing on the other side. Oops, let's bend them this way so it's the same. Yep. All right. Jam them under the wings. And let me give him the little thumb piece here. Yeah, and I think I should have some wooden discs downstairs, so that's what I'm gonna add. He's gonna be holding one of those, I think. And then let's do this real quick, where we'll make a distinct line here for the hand, like so. Because I want to make this furry, or fuzzy, I guess would be a better word. Make this fuzzy. That there. Yeah, and we'll attach the... I'll bake it with the disc, and then I'll paint the disc when we do the next video, like some of the traditional stars that you see on the barn. And I know that's like having a vampire hold garlic, or a werewolf hold wolfsbane, or a silver bullet, but I think it would be cute, and it would kind of add to the charm. Alright, so we're going to do some quick ridges here. And we'll do... yeah. And we'll do this, and that, and that. There we go. We added texture to the hand there. And then we're going to jam it under the wing here and attach it as thoroughly as we can. And then we're gonna fix this one the same way. We'll do the pattern here so it looks furry up to a point. Oh, and then we'll do the patterns again. Then I'll do the faint little like furry, feathery pattern all over the body, and then I think we're about finished. So should be almost done. We're making decent time. It's been about 2 hours. That's about how long it takes me to do most of these. 2 to 3 hours. Usually another hour, hour and a half to paint. So okay. Let us put this one also under the wing. Yeah. Okay. We'll have him holding a little wooden coin here. But for now, I'm going to do a quick little feather-ish pattern all over. Real heavy around the legs here. More faint on the rest of him. Looking like a dino bird, which is, I mean, decently accurate. He's supposed to be a lizardy kind of bird. All right. So I think we've got our basic shape down here. We've got his head. We've got scales down the back, some feather patterns here. We have the tentacle face. We're going to have him hold a little coin. Now we just got to do this. The slightly ridged pattern on the toes and the legs here. All right. I think, trying to think if I've done all the details that I need to do, but I think I have. So he's gonna be holding something, but I think we have our little Snallygaster chick. Um, Definitely on the ugly cute range. More ugly than cute, but I think we'll do like a slightly feathered pattern down the tail as well, just fainter. Okay. All right, I think doing a few more details, put that back down there. All right, so I think our Snallygaster is done. This is the way he looks. It's pretty good. You can get detail on his tentacles, on his hands. There we go. All right. If you watched this video, I greatly appreciate it. Let me know if there's any specific lore creatures that you want to see me do. I am more than happy to take suggestions. I like doing these and researching the stories behind them. So, yeah, let me know if there's something you'd like to see me do. I appreciate any interactions or views that I get. So, thank you so much if you watched this far. I will be back next week with a painting video of this little guy, and after that we're probably going to try another dual TikTok and YouTube stream with the random dice roll creatures that I do, but I may have to take a break and stock up on some more clay, which I should have enough money to do that, but might take a little bit off just in case I need to. Plus the holidays I tend to work more, so we'll see. But we'll definitely be back next week with the finishing up this little creature, and we'll have the shortened 1-minute videos as well. Anyway, I'm going to end it here. Have a good night.